Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic.
Would you be in favor of removing "one nation under God" from the Pledge of Allegiance, and why or why not? Yes, it wasn't there at the start either. Edit. Adding citation to make it clearer. On June 14, 1954, President Dwight Eisenhower signed a bill to insert the phrase, "under God," into the U.S. Pledge of Allegiance that children recited every morning in school. Previously, the pledge, originally written in 1892, had contained no reference to religion. Edit 3. Removed my rant. I'd get rid of the pledge altogether. It's creepy making people, especially children, recite a pledge to a flag. As an outsider looking in, it just screams like cult behavior. I'm a pastor, so I would say it should absolutely be removed. Forcing your religion on someone never leaves a person with a positive feeling towards that religion. If Christians want people to have authentic experiences with their religion, we need to allow for authentic encounters rather than gross forced ones. You end up with Christian nationalism and not Christianity. Besides, early church Christians chose execution rather than pledging allegiance to an empire. And now we're supposedly so for it. Some churches do it on the regular. Straight up heresy. If pastors from all sects thought like you, organized religion would be a lot less hated than it is today. I'm sure we don't see eye to eye on everything, but it's good to know we can agree on this. Christian nationalists ironically manage to hurt both Christianity and the nation. 100%. I dread telling people I meet that I'm a pastor, because for most people that is shorthand for a patriarchal, spiritually abusive, close-minded, homophobic bigot. I really hope none of those adjectives are accurate in how I move through the world. And the diversity of Christian sects is often lost on those with experience with only a sliver of them who claim to be the only true Christians. Ultimately, Christianity is a pretty big tent with some very yucky beliefs in one area and pretty accessible beliefs in others. The Pledge of Allegiance itself concerns me far more than the religious bit. It makes sense that it was written right after the Civil War, that one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, packed a punch in the aftermath of 250,000 Americans dying to stop secession, end slavery. My mom remembers when "under God" was added, thanks to the Cold War. It should not be in the Pledge of Allegiance or on the currency. One of our first currencies had a much better slogan. Mind your business. https://en.wikipedia.org/wiki/fugio_cent. And it meant, take care of your own work and take pride in what you do, and not, stay out of other people's business. Single quote. I'd be in favor of removing the entire Pledge of Allegiance. It's still weird to me as a European that you all reindoctrinate yourself every morning in school. Edit. I mean, I understand if it's like a national holiday or the event at the start of a new year or something, but every single day seems excessive. As an adult, I'd completely forgotten that was a thing until I started going in to volunteer at my son's school in the mornings and saw them do it. It was very off-putting to witness after having been removed from it for years. I then had a conversation with my kids about how they didn't have to participate if they didn't want. It's very weird. I've never visited another country that's as obsessed with their flag as the US is. If anyone gets in trouble for not doing it in the future, please mind that there's a Supreme Court case ruling that it's illegal to force a student to say it because it violates freedom of speech and religion in public schools. The whole pledge is fucking creepy and weird. LMAO. This is a good point. Being required to salute a flag and say a pledge is weird and pretty unique to the US and authoritarian regimes, honestly. Note. Legally, it is not required, as determined in West Virginia Boe vs. Barnett in 1943. However, that doesn't stop some people from treating it as such. To quote the late great Robin Williams, "Under Canada, above Mexico." That line kind of ruins whole, indivisible vibe the rest of the pledge has. So does the justice for all part. Justice for all, who can afford it? SEPERATECHURCHANDSTATE. September a tech urchin state. Yes, because no one should force you to believe in any religion. And it is violating the First Amendment because Congress shall make no law respecting an of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise of. Also, with what's been going on recently, people are very concerned with Christian nationalism. So yeah. What a karma bait question. That's what this whole subreddit is, friend. Wasn't this type of question banned? It should be. I'm 100% for removing it. But come on, anybody who asks this question knows exactly what Reddit will say. It's nothing but a karma whoring echo chamber type question. Would you be in favor of banning? Would you be in favor of questions? You're on Reddit, of course you know what the answer is going to be. Free karma. People of Reddit. If the hottest person you know offered you sex and $200 million, would you say yes? Why or why not? Quote. Wait, I thought the US were a secular country. Do you mean there are lots of Americans criticizing Islamic countries when they have added, relatively recently, a thing that is very similar? Just a different religion? I'm really at a loss here. BBB bingo. The US had a bit of a religious, but ultimately Christian, revivalism in the 50s sitch with the addition of under God in the pledge and money. We are, technically, secular by the means that the Church has no actual political power, though they do have a lot of power over influencing individuals, as in seats in Congress, and that there is no single state religion plus freedom of and from religion is part of the First Amendment. But there is a lot of hypocrisy and far too many who desire a theocracy in all but name under the same policies as the Muslim countries they so often criticize. So long as they are the ones on top, of course. Freedom of religion, but only for myself. I've never heard it was because of religious revivalism in the 50s, but rather that it was because of McCarthyism and the Red Scare. Adding references to God to our currency. It has already been in coins for decades. And into the pledge was a way of differentiating ourselves from the godless communists. Also, there are a significant number of people, including SCOTUS justices, who believe freedom of religion means freedom of Christian religions. To them, non-Christian religions aren't actual religions. But the Jewish faith gets a pass, for now. You're not required to say the pledge, at least by the government or anything like that. Most people don't really get up at arms about it because nobody really cares if you say it or not. Unless you have like a hard ass for a teacher, principal, etc. It also doesn't really affect adult life, considering there are practically no situations in which adults would say it. Sure, we could remove the words, under God, since it makes it more secular. But it's really a non-issue IMO. It's no worse than having, in God we trust, printed on currency. I'm a lot more concerned with policy being mixed with religion. For example, as it pertains to access to abortion and birth control. Unfortunately, the wording in the pledge and on currency stokes the fire of people who believe the USA is a special country anointed by God to lead the world, and it is evil to keep religion out of government because our government is the work of the Lord as spoken through our founding fathers. These nut jobs in the House don't appear out of thin air, they are the product of this nonsense. You're not quite right there. Teachers are often required to lead the pledge. And even if their religion doesn't allow them to do that, or they don't want to, and they explain that to the principal, so much fun having to explain your religious views at work. Legally they are still required to be in the room. The thing is that there are religious leaders that expect you not to stay in the room for the pledge. All we ever do is focus on what happens to students whose religious beliefs don't allow them to do the pledge. But teachers are also people in the room, and it's an issue. They are required to be present.